as you know, cancel culture, censorship here, there and everywhere at the moment. And the new front, apparently, after the censoring of things like Twitter and killing off of Parler, is now the Woke Brigade would like Apple to somehow be responsible for every word that is said on every podcast that is listened to on everything through the Apple Music platform. This is apparently the next area of cutting down on, among other things, misinformation, which is code for the stuff we disagree with. Now, Bronwyn, we had a very fiery conversation when we had a conversation that was somewhat adjacent to this last night. But America is a place that is unlike Australia, where free speech is absolute, clear in their constitution. It's why the filthiest of jokes and occasionally the most offensive of political speech is protected by their constitution. But the right wing for a long time has been able to get away with saying, well, if you own a business, you don't have to serve gay people, right? Because that's your business and you can do what you want to do. So this ultimately, yes, is a private company that if it wanted to, could decide that's odious, so it's their right to get rid of. But at the heart of wanting to shut down what is said on a podcast, is it really about stopping misinformation, or is it about stopping any form of ideological resistance?
Absolutely. And I'm dead against censorship. And I think fools ought to be able to expose themselves. And that's what happens when people start to make statements that are just unacceptable to that community. But to give that power of saying who can say what is just a terrifying thought. I mean, when I saw that big tech could shut down a sitting president of the United States, I thought, this is really getting quite terrifying. Where is this power going to end? At least they have some laws that will enable them to break up those big tech, and it's about time they started. Well,
and some interesting surveys, Liz, about the number of college students. In fact, some 70-something% of college students believe that these big tech companies are too big. I mean, literally, you've got sort of a strange marriage here between the Elizabeth Warrens of the American Senate and plenty of the free speechers as well. But again, to me, you know, Apple, Facebook, they all pretend that they are just the pipe. They don't control anything that goes through the pipe, but then once they start deciding what can and can't go through the pipe, then they become the publisher, which means much of the legal protections that they were able to operate under simply are a fallacy.
Indeed, and I'm not surprised to know that number of college students are the ones who there's been an outcry about this, because they are the younger generation, therefore they're far more tech savvy and across what is going on here. We have seen big tech flex in recent months like never before. And when you consider the decisions that these guys are making, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, you name it, and who are they? Who are they to decide what is classified as misinformation? Hate speech is another one. This is hate speech, must be taken down. They've given all different categories to things that they consider just not palatable, or exactly as you just said earlier, not agreeing with their agenda, with their narrative. It must be taken down. The thing with censorship is it doesn't work. A lot of these people being taken down, and this has been happening for many months now, their profiles are too big, so they disappear. People like me notice, where is that prominent conservative voice gone? That prominent conservative voice goes to a different platform, and now we saw with Parler, we saw Google, we saw Amazon band together to take Parler out at the knees. So this is a real dog-eat-dog fight here, this censorship. And I've got to believe that it doesn't work. If we look at history, it doesn't win in the end. People do go looking for what's missing, and we see those ebbs of flows in culture as a result.
Well, and some of the stuff where people either set up shop, or if they're pushed to the fringes, Matt, of where they set up shop, you can actually expose people to even crazier stuff, because the platforms that they end up in are the ones where the craziest previously sat. So how do you feel about this, Matt? Because look, we all know that, you know, someone preaching the wrong thing against the law obviously needs to be taken down. The racist stuff, we get all of that, okay? But how do you feel about where this seems to be going, where, you know, there are active voices in the US saying Apple's responsible for every word on every podcast?
Look, it's a tough one. It's a fine balance, isn't it, between trying to uphold the right to freedom of expression and freedom of speech, but not wanting your platform to be used to incite violence or illegal activities. And I guess that the owners of those platforms have to make a judgment call based on those podcasts and what's being broadcast on their networks about where they cross that line. And I just want to see in the future that we all have as much freedom of speech as we possibly can, but it's done respectfully and according to the law.
Yeah. By the way, that survey was done by Axios, which is the political news website in the US. 77% of college students believe that big tech is too big and deserves one heck of a shake-up.